What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the specs of the Samsung Galaxy S4 to the Sony Xperia Z. Now obviously these are two big players in the Android smartphone lineup of 2013, and a lot of people are going to be in a position deciding which one of these to go for. So I thought, in my usual style, let's do a head-to-head comparison of specs and give you guys a better idea of the differences between these two. So let's start off with the size and dimensions. Now the S4 is smaller than the Sony Xperia Z. It's small in terms of the height and the width. In terms of the thickness, they are both the same, but this is really impressive because for the S4 they've managed to maintain that similar size of the S3 by really decreasing the size of the bezel around the edges. So that's quite impressive. So the S4 is slightly smaller in terms of height and width. Screen size pretty much the same. The S4 4.99 inches, pretty much 5 inches really, and as with the Xperia Z as well, 5 inches. Resolution wise as well, head to head both of these go 1080p displays, 1920 by 1080, 441 pixels per inch. Very similar here. 1080p videos are going to look great on these devices. You're going to be having that full resolution. Weight, the S4 130 grams, the Sony Xperia Z 146 grams. So the S4 again a lighter phone as well, so a little bit more compacted than the Xperia Z. However, the build, the S4 polycarbonate casing. Now this is something that a lot of people are sort of disappointed about, is because of that sort of plasticky feel. It doesn't feel too premium. The Xperia Z has the Gorilla Glass on both sides, and it's anti-shatter durable glass, so you've got water resistance and dust proof. Now this is a unique selling point of the Xperia Z, something not other premium smartphones have. You can, like, you've seen the adverts where they're just literally putting water over it, and you know the amount of times people have accidents where they drop water over the device or drop it into some water. Like, this is going to be really expensive, especially considering the amount of money that you're going to be spending on these devices. Looking inside, what's inside these devices, the processor, the S4 has an Exynos 5 octa-core processor. That's 8 cores, 4 at 1.6 GHz Cortex A15, and another 4 at 1.2 GHz Cortex A7. So they've got 4 larger cores and 4 smaller cores. The smaller ones are going to be for general use. The 4 larger ones are going to kick in for more intensive tasks. That's the international variant. I believe there's going to be another one as well, which is going to be a quad-core 1.9 GHz crate. So comparing that to the Xperia Z, the Xperia Z has a quad-core 1.5 GHz crate processor. So obviously the S4 does have an advantage here. Benchmarks will obviously tell us how much of an advantage, but the octa-core, I'm very impressed that they've managed to get 8 cores on a phone. Very impressive. Internal memory, the S4 16, 32 and 64 gigabyte versions. The Xperia Z, you've only got the 16 gigabyte version, so you're sort of stuck with the one version there. However, both do have expandable storage. The S4 up to 64 gigabytes micro SD. The Xperia Z, they advertise it as 32 gigabytes expandable storage. However, I have been told that you can get it up to 64 megabyte cards. If you format them at FAT32, that means you won't be able to put files over 4 gigabytes. Now I very much doubt you're going to be having files more than 4 gigabytes a piece on the memory card here, but so you can go up to 64 gigabytes as well. So obviously expandable storage, a big advantage on both of these devices. A lot of the other devices, HTC One, the Nexus 4 as well, do not have expandable storage, so a very key feature on here on both of these. RAM wise, both have 2 gigabytes of RAM. RAM obviously very important when it comes to things like multitasking. Both 2 gigabytes, pretty standard these days. Camera, the S4 has 13 megapixels. So does the Xperia Z, 13 megapixels. So you've got similar cameras here in terms of megapixels. The S4 does come with a few additional features that they've put in here. You've got drama shot, where you're going to have multiple shots and you'll be able to select one later on. You've got dual camera. You can actually take pictures with both cameras at the same time. So you're going to be able to sort of put yourself into the picture as a box, but it's going to be quite useful for video as well. And you've got some eraser options and stuff like that, so you've got different things here. I believe both come with HDR video as well. HDR images, they do definitely come with HDR images, HDR video as well. And video, you've got 1080p at 30 frames a second on both of these devices, pretty standard these days. The front facing camera, 2 megapixels for the S4 and the Xperia Z, 2.2 megapixels. Both again 1080p HD footage that you can be able to record at 30 frames a second. Consistent cameras on both the front and the back. This is going to be really useful for editing later on. You're going to have that consistency. Operating system, now the S4 comes with Android Jelly Bean 4.2.2, the latest Jelly Bean version with the TouchWiz interface. The Sony Xperia Z, Android 4.1.2 Jelly Bean, so it's there may be an upgrade later on. And I believe that the interface, the UI on the Xperia Z is called Timescape. Apparently this is not as intrusive as the TouchWiz interface, but the TouchWiz interface does come with a lot of additional features. Now, some of the features that they've been talking about, you've got smart scroll. You can scroll down, when you reach to the end, it does eye tracking, and you can also tilt the device. Smart pause, where you look away from the device if you're watching a video, and it will pause it. You've got air gestures as well, which is really useful, so you can sort of hover over the S4 and it's going to give you expandable menus, etc. So another very, very useful feature. And they've also got things like the infrared sensors as well, so infrared LED, so you're going to be able to use it as a remote as well. So another few useful features here. In terms of battery, the S4 has a lithium ion 2600 milliamp battery. The Sony Xperia Z, lithium ion 2330 milliamp battery. Now the key thing to note here is that the S4 is a removable battery, the Xperia Z is non-removable, so you are not going to be able to get a spare battery or anything for the Xperia Z. The S4 has a slightly larger battery. Performance wise, obviously that would have to be seen hands-on. Price wise, both are going to be quite similar. You're going to be looking at around £500 to £550 in the UK and around about $700 in the US. And that's the sort of pricing, so you got that premium pricing there. To summarize, those are some of the key differences between these two devices. Now obviously each of them have their advantages. I think the key advantage of the Sony that a lot of people are loving is that water resistant and dust resistant feature. The S4 on the other hand is a little bit more compact. Yes, it's got that sort of plasticky look to it, which a lot of people are not happy about, and it looks the same as the S3 as well, so that's another disadvantage there. But it's got some of these new features and these new sensors that they've been talking about, temperature sensors and the infrared, so you've got like hover, things that we've not seen much on other devices, as well as the octa-core processor. So it's a very, very tough decision, no doubt, but both of these devices have their advantages. I mean, which one would you go for? What are your views on these devices? Would you go for the S4 or would you go for the Xperia Z? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. And obviously, if I do get hold of the S4, a full review will be coming up on the channel in the usual style. Hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button. It really does help me out. And why not subscribe to the channel? I've got plenty more videos coming up on here. Hit this subscribe button right here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time.